So for the first time in a long time, I have 3 foster dogs. I've been slowly integrating them together. This is Maverick right here. He's good boy, beautiful dog. Owner surrender. And then this is Clyde and this is Bonnie. They were found together. They had both been abandoned at the local humane society. So we've been taking the last couple of days. Hi, baby. And just had some, yes, I love the relaxed body posture. Good job, you. Good job, Clyde. Just been crating them and rotating them so that they can see and smell each other. They were very barky at first, especially Bonnie was very nervous about Maverick. But we've got relaxed body language today. So we're definitely going to get some treats after this. Hi, and welcome to Dog Fostering 101. I'm Jackie Adams, foster mom and learning and development professional. This podcast is for anyone who's new to fostering, thinking about saying yes for the first time, or navigating those early days and looking for practical tips, because fostering changes lives at both ends of the leash. One of the hardest parts of fostering that people don't talk about enough is what it feels like to bring a dog back to the shelter or rescue. When I took home my first foster dog, Hercules, I truly thought it would only be for a few days. I had never fostered before, and honestly, I wasn't ready for a long-term commitment. I did not know what to expect from this experience at all. After almost a week together, I needed to go visit my brother's house, which isn't dog-friendly, so I brought Hercules back to the shelter here in Charlotte. What made it especially difficult was knowing what he had already been going through there. During the first couple of months before coming home with me, Hercules had really been struggling with severe kennel stress. He had lost around 8 pounds and had been identified by staff as highly anxious in the shelter environment. So, when I brought him back and a staff member took his lead, Hercules started pulling towards me and whining miserably, and it was extremely exciting. I completely broke down. I remember kneeling beside him, petting him comfortingly, while just tears were streaming down my cheeks. And I heard somebody in the background say something like, "That's what this is all about." I know they meant well, but honestly, I don't think Hercules and I were having the same hallmark moment that they were imagining. We were both under tremendous distress. You could see how anxious and heartbroken he was, and it absolutely shattered me. I went to go visit my brother the next day, and within 24 hours, I was back to pick up Hercules again. I just couldn't handle the thought of this sweet boy, this dog I had come to love, sitting in an environment that was so clearly causing him stress and anxiety. That experience taught me something important. The decision to return a foster dog is often incredibly complicated, and I think we need to have more honest conversations about that in the rescue community. Foster grief is real. A lot of people assume grief only happens when a foster dog passes away, or maybe even when they get adopted. But there's also grief tied to returning a foster dog, feeling overwhelmed, realizing you may not be equipped for a certain situation, becoming emotionally attached faster than you expected, or feeling conflicted about your own limitations as a fosterer. Guilt and sadness do not automatically mean someone made the wrong decision. Sometimes they simply mean somebody cared deeply. So let's discuss how love and capacity are not the same thing. And this is something I wish more people understood. Someone can absolutely love animals and still not have the emotional, financial, logistical, or physical capacity to handle a particular foster situation at that point in their life. Love for animals and capacity to foster are not always the same thing, and acknowledging your limits does not make you a bad person. If you're struggling and considering bringing a foster back, the first thing you should do is take a breath and zoom out. Keeping a dog in a foster home for even a few days can provide decompression from kennel stress, help staff learn more about that dog's behaviors and mannerisms, improve adoption photos and behavior notes, give the dog better sleep, nutrition, and comfort, help the dog emotionally reset, create valuable behavioral observations, and increase adoption chances. You may feel like you failed in that foster, but from the dog's perspective, those days still mattered. A temporary foster placement can still change a dog's trajectory. Now, here are some things to consider before making the decision to bring your foster dog back to the shelter environment. Is this a permanent issue or a temporary overwhelm moment? Could I use a short-term sitter, backup foster, or boarding help? Have I communicated honestly with the rescue or shelter about what's going on? Am I expecting myself to do fostering perfectly? Is guilt clouding my ability to evaluate the situation clearly? Sometimes the right decision is continuing. Sometimes the right decision is asking for support. And sometimes the right decision truly is returning the dog. You should communicate early if you're going to do that, not when you're drowning. One thing I'd encourage fosters to do is communicate concerns early. A lot of people wait until they're emotionally exhausted because they're afraid of disappointing the rescue or of being judged. But many situations become more manageable when support comes earlier. Ask questions, be honest, be open, explain what's happening, document concerns. You do not have to silently carry everything by yourself. We also need to recognize some dogs simply aren't the right match. This is another important thing to normalize. Sometimes the dog's energy level doesn't fit the household. Resident pets are too stressed, safety concerns emerge, the foster environment isn't what that particular dog needs, or the foster realizes they are in over their head. That does not automatically mean the foster failed. Sometimes it simply means the placement wasn't the right fit. And as always, it's important we consider ways to set ourselves up for success as a fosterer. One thing I wish more people understood is that fostering does not have to look the same for everyone. Some people foster only on the weekends. Some people do emergency fostering. Some people take low energy senior dogs, or they might foster just one dog per year, or only help during the holidays, or specialize in short decompression stays, or assist with transporting dogs to foster homes. These are many ways that you can contribute meaningfully. A few things that can help: consider starting with lower needs dogs when possible. Ask detailed questions before taking a dog home. Create a backup support plan. Maybe consider co-fostering with someone else. Set realistic expectations for yourself. Remember the 3-3-3 adjustment rule that we've talked about in other podcasts. And give yourself permission to learn as you go. You do not have to become the perfect foster parent overnight. I'd also like to speak to those foster caregivers who rarely or even never bring dogs back to the shelter. If you're someone who fosters consistently without returning dogs, that is absolutely amazing. Rescues deeply need people like you. But it's also important to remember that not everyone has to foster the same way. There's different housing situations, different emotional bandwidths, financial flexibility, support systems, schedule, dog experience, or tolerance for behavioral challenges. And if we create a shelter where people are judged or shamed for struggling while fostering, many of those fosterers won't foster again. That means fewer dogs leaving shelters in the long term. The goal should not be creating a culture where only super fosterers feel welcome. The goal should be creating a culture where more people feel safe enough to try. Because sustainable fostering matters more than perfection. A person who can help for one weekend, one decompression stay, one emergency placement, one medical recovery, or one season in their life is still incredibly valuable to us as a whole. Just one final thought: Hercules ended up becoming the dog that opened my heart to fostering. But that painful experience that we had in the beginning also helped shape how I view other foster caregivers. It taught me that fostering is emotional, it's messy, it's human work, and it's hard work. And that compassion that we have for the dogs shouldn't just go towards them. It should also be extended to the people trying to help too. The rescue world doesn't need everyone to foster in the same way. It needs compassionate humans willing to try, willing to learn, willing to grow, and willing to care. Thanks so much for joining me for this Fast to Fast Track. Now go snuggle a pup and have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Dog Fostering 101, everything I wish I knew when I began fostering. This episode was edited by Make Your Day Richer. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to follow us and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Now go cuddle a pup and have a great day.